Remember when I said that Bruno G to Arsenal would be was the biggest signing of the summer? Yeah, bun that, man. Bun that. Rodri to Barcelona. Here we go. I mean, that is just a game changer. I was pretty confident that Barcelona would get this Rodri deal done. After all of the, reports came that they had hijacked Real Madrid, that Rodri wanted to go there. I thought the City would end up having enough respect for such a club legend that they would let him go where he wanted to go. And they've actually done it. They've actually done it. And the reason that this signing is so big is not just because of what it means for Barcelona getting Rodri. Not just for the transfer in itself. I genuinely think that we could look back at the end of the season and say that this one transfer determined 2 title races. I genuinely think that is a possibility. And I was thinking about that before the signing even happened. It's not reactionary to what happened yesterday. I genuinely believe this. Let's get into the facts. So, let's start with Barcelona, because this is just an absolute game changer. Barcelona are coming off 2 very, very good seasons where they've won La Liga, retained it, stopped Real Madrid from winning any silverware, and then the first season got to a Champions League semi-final where they heartbreakingly lost to Inter, and then had a very disappointing Champions League exit to Atletico Madrid. I think in that time span they've won the Copa del Rey, they've won the Super Cup twice. Like they've been cleaning up in Spain. They really have. They've been dominating Spanish football. But the main concern with Barcelona has been their defense, and I'm not just talking about their defense itself, the defensive structure. Barcelona, they're a very chaotic team. They've got Lamine Yamal, the best player in the world. Rafinha in Hansi Flick's first season was on fire, not as much this season. They're just an insane attacking unit with Pedri and De Jong behind them. With Fermin Lopez, Dani Olmo, these guys have a lot of options in attack and they can be very, very scary. Just Lamine Yamal on his own is scary enough. But with that chaotic high-line football comes defensive weaknesses, and we saw it in the Inter tie. 7 goals conceded across 2 legs. We saw it. I remember there was the game against Club Brugge. They conceded 3 goals. We've seen that. I think that has been Barcelona's main issue. Even the Atletico Madrid tie, Kubasi gets sent off because he has to recover when I think it was Julian Alvarez. I can't remember who it was. Gets past the high line and it's the wrong goal. Rodri, coming into this team, fixes so many issues. And look, Rodri isn't the same off-the-ball machine that he was pre-ACL. But he's still got it, man. He can still get around. He can still break up play. He can still stop counters. This is a huge signing in that aspect of things. But then on the ball, he just is a game changer as well. You are adding Rodri, who was just the best player in a World Cup win for Spain, to the team that sent the majority of the Spanish players to the World Cup. Rodri's going to rock up at Barcelona. He's going to see Pedri. He's going to see Yamal. He's going to see Dani Olmo. He's going to see Kubasi. He's going to see Eric Garcia. Even guys that didn't go to the World Cup. He's going to see Jean Garcia. Even guys that didn't go to the World Cup that he knows, like Balde. Barcelona were that Spain team, and they've just gotten the best player. Barcelona have to have the best midfield unit in the world. I was putting Arsenal in those conversations, but you've got De Jong, Pedri, Rodri, Fermin Lopez, Dani Olmo, Marc Bernal. That is stacked. Genuinely stacked. They've got so many options. What do they even play? You know, because De Jong and Pedri were the main pivot duo, but you've got to put Rodri in the team. So who goes out? Do they maybe play more of a flat midfield three and leave guys like Dani Olmo and Fermin Lopez on the bench? What do they do? Because the one thing that's very interesting will be the relationship between Rodri and Pedri, because I heard Lies say this, and I felt the exact same way watching Spain at the World Cup. Rodri and Pedri, they weren't complementing each other very well. They both kind of played a very similar role. That it was kind of counterintuitive having them both there. You're like, I felt a similar way last season watching Ødegaard and Zubimendi. They both love to receive the ball off the back four and help him build up. So why do you need both of them? And Rodri and Pedri are the same. They're like these deep-lying controllers. Now, I think for Barca, it will be different. The World Cup is a lot... I feel like Spain were a lot more cautious at the World Cup. You know, they had a great defensive structure. It's not like they were playing like a defensive brand of football or anything. But I feel like at Barcelona, who are more high-intensity, just like high attack-based football, I think this will end up being a really good move for Pedri. Because Pedri, having Rodri behind him, will give him so much more license to go forward and impact the final third. Or even if Pedri's sitting deep, Rodri can go impact the final third. I think the most underrated area of Rodri's game is his ability to impact games in the final third. Whilst he is mostly a 6, whilst for City he's played as like a lone 6 with 2 10s in front of him, like basically a front 5, and him sitting behind them. One thing, Rodri can operate as like an 8. He genuinely can. Like this guy, we've seen him score massive goals. He's got a good final ball on him. Like this dude can operate as a final action player too. So if Pedri's the one that wants to sit deep and control, Rodri can go forward. I just think you've got a great dynamic there of two players that can kind of do a bit of everything at a high level. That they can free each other up. Rodri's never played with a guy like Pedri before. Really think about it. Like what if you look at the City midfielders that he's played with, who's he played with? He's played with Ilkay Gundogan. He's played with Kevin De Bruyne. He's played with Bernardo Silva. Pedri's a very different player to those guys. This is new territory for Rodri, and I think that is one big thing that this move will do for Rodri. Ultimately the reason why I think he made that move. What this will do for his legacy is absolutely insane. You know, Rodri has had a stellar career. The last 5 odd years, he was at Man City for what, 5 seasons? Signed in 2020, what was it, 2021? Let me have a look. Did he sign 2021 or 2022? Sorry, no, 2020 or 2021. Because I know that he definitely wasn't there for the 2020, the 1920 season. Was he there 2021? He was, wasn't he? Why am I in Premier League? I'll just go to Rodri. Rumored Barcelona move. 2019. Was he there that long? Oh, he was there from the 1920. I completely forgot about that. Anyway, so like his first couple seasons at City, like he was still good, but he wasn't like Rodri. And I think it was from the 21-22 season. The last sort of not that year, like the last 4 seasons he's played at Manchester City, where we really started to see like a next level from Rodri. And the guy, his resume speaks for itself. You know, 4 Premier Leagues, a treble, which includes obviously a Champions League. He's won 2 FA Cups, I think. He's won, 4 League Cups? 4 or 5 League Cups? Oh no, they were winning them all before he got there. I think it's like 3 League Cups. Euros and World Cup where he was player of the tournament and a Ballon d'Or. Like, that is a serious resume. And obviously Rodri was already going to have a crazy legacy. You know, he was going to be, whether you agree or not, what was that? Whether you agree or not, he's going to go down as one of the greatest midfielders to ever play in the Premier League. Can rival Busquets for the greatest 6 ever, in my opinion. I would actually, look, I didn't watch Busquets at his best, but I would probably put Rodri ahead of Busquets. I just think the level that we saw from Rodri was insane. But your legacy is always kind of going to be capped when you're at Manchester City. They don't have a particularly big fan base, especially if they start to die down a little bit after Pep leaves. You're not going to have as many people going to war for you. Whereas if you play for Barcelona, and God forbid if he stars in a Champions League winning side, I mean, you're going to have all the Barcelona fans, probably easily top 3 biggest fan bases in world football, battling for you. And I think just playing for Barcelona, whether you think it's fair or not, that alone impacts your legacy to such a high, to such a crazy level. So yeah, this is an excellent move for Rodri, and I think this puts Barcelona in that bracket of Champions League contenders. I still think there might be some question marks defensively. Rodri does help that, but I still think the high line, their back line is really built for that high line, and that could expose them. But I just think that their already good attack will operate to such a high level. I think Barcelona have had a good transfer window. I think it's been overdone a little bit. Rodri is a top signing. I keep dropping shit. Rodri is a top signing. Adeyemi is a good value for money signing. Gordon, whilst I'm not the biggest fan of his, he can be a very useful player for them. The only thing is they just haven't addressed the defence, and I think and whilst I don't rate this player, losing Ferran Torres and not bringing in another striker, these guys don't actually have a striker, which is kind of a concern. So there are still gaps, but I think the Rodri signing just puts Barcelona in that bracket where why can't they win the Champions League? They can win the Champions League this season. I genuinely think they can. They're now in that bracket of contenders, whereas I never really viewed them in that under Hansi Flick. I never really put them in that bracket where I genuinely thought that they could go on to win the Champions League. Anyway, let's get past Barcelona. I've talked about them enough. There are 2 more clubs that I want to talk about. Obviously, Manchester City, the club he left, but also Real Madrid. And while I'll stay in Spain, I'll talk about Real Madrid. This is disastrous. Genuinely disastrous. How you have managed to fumble this signing is crazy. For the last year, despite the fact that you disrespected him to the level you did, boycotting the Ballon d'Or ceremony, he was on his knees to join your football club. He was from Madrid, obviously played for Atletico, came out and said that he doesn't care about his history at Atletico, that would not stop him from going to Real Madrid. He was on his knees. And you fucked around with Vinicius Jr., giving him a new contract, spent all that money on Diamande, and then absolutely took the piss and let Barcelona swoop in and sign him. And there's one man that I have to blame for this. It's not Vinicius Jr. It's not Diamande. It's not Jose Mourinho. It's Perez. It's Florentino Perez. Because you are so arrogant. You have such a big ego that just because Riquelme made it a part of his election campaign that he would bring Rodri to Real Madrid, just because of that you refused to sign him. I genuinely don't see another reason why Perez didn't pursue this. Rodri is one of the best midfielders in the world, a Ballon d'Or winner. He is the modern day rendition of a Galactico midfielder. If there's any midfielder that fits into the Galactico bracket, it is Rodri. And he's a Madrid-coded player as well. A lot of people are talking about how he's Barcelona-coded because, his ability to control games, his attacking prowess, that is very Barcelona-coded. But he's not your typical Barcelona midfielder. He's not Xavi, he's not Iniesta. He's a brute. He's this is more in his prime. I don't think he is quite at that level physically because of the ACL. But this is a guy that can get around. This is a guy that basically played in a one-man midfield for a treble side. You have to be a physical specimen to do that. And that just is a Real Madrid player. And he's a profile that they have been missing so desperately for the last 2 years. They've still not replaced Toni Kroos. And look, I think Bernardo Silva's a good signing. Adds experience. I do think he can control the midfield in that aspect. But if you genuinely think that Bernardo Silva is a good signing when Barcelona brought in Rodri, compared to your rivals, shocking. And this was the first title race that I think this transfer has wrapped up. I already thought Barcelona were going to retain La Liga and make it a three-peat. But now that they've signed Rodri, how does Madrid stop them? Because that team is so unbalanced, it's crazy. I'll save it for when we actually watch this team play under Jose Mourinho, because I haven't seen anything from them in pre-season. I've heard that they haven't been that good in pre-season. Oh, good on you, Vinny. But I don't see how Real Madrid can win this league now. I don't see how they can, because their midfield has been getting dog-walked by Barcelona for the last 2 years. Not because their midfielders are bad individual players, but because they, as a cohesive unit, that's not it, man. It's not it. And when you've just seen Barcelona add Rodri to that, a player that you could have signed. I genuinely think if Madrid had signed Rodri, Madrid have had like a good transfer window. Like if you look at all of their transfers in isolation, Cucurella's a great signing. Great signing. I think Konate for free is a great signing. Like, people can talk about his form last season, whatever. Konate's been a top centre-back at times. And I think that he can have a great season as well. Bernardo Silva, as I said, in isolation. Rodri changes that. But in isolation, great signing. I think Bernardo Silva is still an excellent player. Who else they signed? Yan Diamande. Whilst I doubt the fit in that front line, Vinny, Diamande and Mbappe, they're all direct, pacey forwards. I don't really see any ball retention there. But Diamande's a great player. He's a quality player coming off an excellent World Cup. Despite the fact he paid a lot of money, I rate that signing. I think he's a very good player. Who else have they signed? Have they signed anyone else? Dumfries as Trent cover for the fee. Good signing. They've had good individual signings, but they have still been yet to address their biggest issue, and that was midfield control. That was a Toni Kroos replacement. That was someone who can actually dictate a game for you. Someone that can actually keep the ball, control a game. You've got Tchouaméni, Bellingham, Valverde, Camavinga, all very, very good midfielders. But none of them are Rodri. None of them are Toni Kroos. None of them can be that type of player. And I cannot believe that the only player that Madrid have to try and dictate a game is Bernardo Silva. Poor. Very, very poor business. I think that this is a generational fumble from Real Madrid, and it will cost them another season, because I don't see how they win La Liga, and I don't see how they win the Champions League. They once again going to get caught out by a better team. Barcelona, what a signing. You have mugged off your biggest rivals and gotten a top quality player. But the last team I want to talk about is Manchester City, because this is a disaster. Like, this is horrible. I know they're going to get Boadi, and Boadi is a great young player. You know, he's got a lot of qualities on the ball. I do question whether or not he's ready, just because I think at the World Cup he didn't really show me anything progressive. Like, he was good at keeping the ball, good at pinging it around, you know, short passes, all that. But he doesn't strike me as this progressive demon that can just completely control a game. He can slow a game down. This is one massive criticism I have with a lot of these midfield controller types. Because guys get glazed for slowing down a game, but the whole point of controlling a game is you then have to speed it up. You can't just slow down a game, you also know how to speed it up. And I haven't seen Boadi do that. Again, he's a kid. He'll probably end up being a great signing. But I'm talking about City right now. Because, I'll tell you what, that Anderson signing at the time I rated. Big fee, but I thought him and Rodri complement each other very now. That signing is nowhere near as good as it was now that Rodri's gone. What, you've blown your whole midfield budget on Elliot Anderson, and then you've let Rodri go. You've spent like 40 million quid to turn Rodri to Elliot Anderson. Like, who is going to control games right next to him? Anderson, you know, he's a good long passer. He's a robust midfielder, great ball winner. Like, he's a very good player. But if there's no Rodri next to him, like, what? What are you going to do? He was next to Mateo Kovacic and dropped a stinker. Yeah, I fear for City this season. And look, I still think that because of the attacking quality they've got, and I rate their defense as well. Anderson's a good enough player, and I think Boadi will end up doing a decent job. But I still think City can maybe challenge for the title. But that is only if Arsenal drop off. I think if we at least maintain the level from last season, I don't see how we don't win this league. And that is the other title race that I think this transfer has decided. Or not has decided, but at the end of the season, we could see Arsenal and Barcelona run away with the league and look back at this transfer and think that was when they won it. I would not be surprised. Look, you can call me arrogant all you want. Again, I'm not saying that we're guaranteed to win the league. I'm not saying we've already won the league. We're going to run away with it. I'm not saying any of that because I still have my own concerns about Arsenal. I'm not going to like it was a great win, but I'm not going to be fully moved. But yeah, what a signing. What a fit. Could Barcelona win the Champions League for the first time in 12 years? Is number 6 coming home? We'll just have to wait and see. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments. And yeah, Rodri to Barcelona. It's a done deal. I'll see you in the next one.